हाँ, if the network doesn't drop, electricity doesn't drop, electricity नहीं जाता तब, otherwise you will have to restart it. Okay.
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इस पे है ना, वाई डू
नहीं
नेट खराब खत्म हो जाता है।
हाँ, exactly.
वाईफाई भी यूपीएस नहीं लगा हुआ,
But your Wi-Fi is connected ना?
वाईफाई में तो
हो गया भाई, अब क्लैपिंग हो गया, देख ताली बज गई। अबे क्या है? हो गया। पता तो चलेगा। किसकी कॉपी है?
मेरी ऊपर कर दो। मुझे
शॉपीस के साथ लोग थोड़ी साला अकेला आधा काउंटर में खा रहा है।
मैं दोनों को जानता हूँ, सिखा दूंगा।
स्पॉन्सर करो।
मैं जानता हूँ उधर तो हाँ
Let's do it. क्या कर रहे हो नितिन सर? हाँ भाई। हो गया शुक्रा?
हाँ जी सर, you can come. You can start.
इसके साथ में खड़े भाई।
वो एक बार लिंक चला के देखिएगा। अच्छा, इधर स्पेन उधर आज
आपने कब पे पिन किए?
एक दो ग्रुप्स पे किया, ईमेल किया है, मेजरली ईमेल से एवरीथिंग इज।
जो बाकी लोग हैं उनको करो अटेंडेंस दे दो।
हाँ,
आवाज आ रही है मेरे को? वो क्या करना है माइक?
हेडफोन्स कहाँ है?
ये कनेक्टेड है इससे?
हाँ,
नई लिंक भेजिए।
नया लिंक भेजा ना वो वाला।
आदेश
हाँ।
हेलो हेलो हेलो, आवाज आ रही है? ठीक है, YouTube पे लिख दो प्लीज मार्क अटेंडेंस, या टीम पे ईमेल डालो या जो भी है, मैं यहाँ पे लिख दूँ। हमको ज्वाइन कर रहा है कि नहीं? तूने वो करा है जो मैंने तुझसे सुबह बोला था? देखो ट्रेनिंग आती है।
Yes. People are already joining in, sir.
वेट करें 5 मिनट के लिए।
I think so. We should. Digard has joined.
दिख रहा है?
Avinash has joined.
टाइम देखे
So you have the attendance?
अविनाश, अर्थ, दिग्नेश, चक्रेश, विशाल,
People are joining.
सोनू सर,
हैदराबाद से बन गया है ना? मैं फोन करता हूँ मोचो को।
हाँ, मैंने किया था ऑलरेडी, हार्ड वर्क। So मुझे से people will join.
यार ये बहुत ज्यादा फाइट है क्या?
हाँ,
ये आपको वो कम करनी पड़ेगी, इसकी ब्राइटनेस होगा ना, कोई ना कहीं से ऑप्शन इसका वो है कि रिमोट
board cannot be.
No. Unless we have a whiteboard somewhere.
ये पीछे ही है, but
नहीं बोला
I'll be finished.
okay.
You want me to die?
No, sir.
Okay. Just checking.
I'm ordering dinner for everyone.
Oh, क्या बात है? Seriously? यार ये चल ही नहीं रहा। ये दोबारा बंद करा दिया मेरा।
आपने इसे चलवाएं।
ऑफिस से तेरा कैमरा पे रेडी किया होगा,
ये ब्राइटनेस है, क्या करूँ उसमें? पिक्चर मोड क्या करता है? माइल ना?
यार उससे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा। ब्राइटनेस एकदम कम कर दो, नीचे डायनेमिक यूज। हाँ, ब्राइटनेस एकदम 0 मतलब बहुत कम कर दो।
देख क्या बोल रहे हैं?
तो एक वो लगा दो ना थोड़ा सा, मतलब कैन यू मार्क समथिंग, तो ही पता चलेगा ना। हल्का से भी टाइप करना कहीं पे।
हमें तो बढ़िया से दिख रहा है।
हाँ।
नो,
दिख तो रहा है।
थोड़ा दिख रहा है, तो हल्का सा पास कर देते हैं।
लेके आ सकते हैं क्या ऊपर से कहीं से? व्हाइट बोर्ड
जतुल क्या एक नोट कर दिया, एक गिलास में पूरा ठीक।
चल भाई
वैसे वो मीटिंग में थी
डन है, हो गया
कितना FLDG 15% पे। ओके
छोड़ दिया।
ये क्या बना के
क्या है ये कुछ नहीं दिख रहा।
क्या
क्यों मैं
Sir, a few of them just left office in Hyderabad. Shubham has joined already. Okay. Just spoke with the branch. So they just closed all the doors and they just access and
ऑफिस में क्यों नहीं बैठ के कर रहे?
network issues.
जी मैं नेटवर्क इशू कैसे होगा ऑफिस में?
Use this. This is a recorded session. Sir.
ओ मैं को वही लगा क्या हो रहा है? हिल ही नहीं रहा कैमरा।
कोई जगह नहीं है रखने का।
ये टाइप करो यहाँ पे, इस पोजीशन में टाइप करो।
ऐसे हो गया हुआ।
बहुत नीचे हो गया।
ऐसे ही रहेगा।
हुआ नहीं क्या? हुआ नहीं क्या?
नहीं थोड़ा ज्यादा ही नीचे हो गया।
Is it like rolling? नहीं ना
नहीं तेरा थोड़ा डिले आ रहा है ना वहाँ पे।
हाँ फिर ठीक है।
Okay.
काफी डिले है।
हाँ, there is around a 10 seconds
More
lag.
than that.
और डेफिनेटली हाँ ठीक है अब आई थिंक यहाँ देख लो ना यहाँ पे आई थिंक बेटर दिखेगा नीचे।
यार ये चल नहीं रहा।
Sir, ये चलना चाहिए।
चलता है क्या? ऊपर से कुछ और ऑफ है क्या? होगा तो
वाइट तो नहीं
हाँ तो वो बोल रहा है मैं वाइस उधर बोल रहा था। देखा
वही है कुछ है आपने नकल दिखाई तभी तो कह रहा था मेरे को पास के तो मेरे आगे जल्दी
ये अच्छा तो वो जब अपने घर पे होते हैं तो के गाँव के देखना पड़ेगा
आपस में बदनाम हो जाएंगे शादी होगी
A lot of people have joined.
वो कह रहे हैं यार मैं काम कर रही हूँ।
कुछ भी मत बोलो सर, यहाँ पर कैमरा फिल्म क्वेश्चन है। गाली वाली दे दो इसी।
फीडबैक आ रहा है
YouTube वाले हटा देंगे गाली वाली।
चल स्टार्ट करें।
मस्त हो गया।
स्टार्ट करें क्या?
अब तो रिकॉर्ड ऑन द रिकॉर्ड।
चलो स्टार्टिंग गाइस। गर्मी हो रही है।
जैकेट को जैकेट को दबा।
चलो
अब बदला मत खोलने को बोले।
I'm not saying anything now.
अब तो मतलब YouTube पे रिकॉर्डेड है।
वो तो सर जब
Okay, now let's start. So guys, this is a session for FLDG. That's a product that we recently launched, and that is going to be complementary to what we are already doing. मैं हिंदी में बोलूं या फिर इंग्लिश में किसमें बोलूं? I think if someone has a problem in Hindi, just type it on the Google chat. I prefer to Pandey, I will speak in Farsi for you. He's writing me. Oh, Namani Rajashekar. Okay. Piplodia is saying, he's making some walking street ka sign. I can't understand that. So Kirti Vasan, after abusing in Hindi yesterday, is now saying English, please. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I think there are 2 or 3 people who want me to speak in English, so I'll speak in English. Anyone else has a problem with English? English, okay? Everyone? Okay. Sure? Thoda. Okay. So guys, what we are doing right now is we are basically introducing the FLDG product. We have got it off the pilot stage. We've got about 10 guys interested in the FLDG product already. One person has already learned the FD, and the other guys are in the process of learning the FD with us. So I'm going to explain this in detail and from scratch what this product is all about. So how I view the existing business is the following. So I consider this triangle. Is everyone able to see the TV and the?
Yes, it's
Okay.
visible.
Okay. So how I view the existing business is in the form of a triangle. What this triangle, the left part of the triangle starts with an upstream business. That's what we call the upstream business, which is our existing business. Can you just silence the mobile? All of you, please. It's an upstream part of the business. What upstream part of the business means that there are raw material manufacturers or raw material traders and distributors who then supply to these SMEs, and SMEs supply to these larger corporations or larger SMEs, MNCs, or larger corporations. Okay, so this is the upstream part of the business. Now we are prevalent in this upstream part of the business in the following streams. We are basically present in steel, we are present in polymer, we are present a bit in chemical, and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are the major areas that we focus on the upstream part of the business. Now there is also a downstream part of the business which we have recently started and got a bit of headway in. What is that downstream part of the business? with the larger SMEs, MNCs, and larger corporations, they basically supply to these wholesalers or distributors, who then supply to these various retailers. The retailers can be big or small as well. The retailers can be as large as a Vishal Mega Mart, can be as small as a Panwadi. When I say Panwadi, Panwadi basically means where you buy cigarettes, the pan shops. So this is called the downstream part of the business. So there's the upstream part of the business, downstream part of the business. This contributes to about 80%, maybe 85% of what we are doing at the moment, the upstream part of the business. Why? Because it's a manufacturer out here. There's a raw material supplier like SAIL or JSPL or JSW, or some local distributors such as Ronak Steel, such as Banke Bihari or whatever. There are many raw material suppliers over here. They supply to SMEs. We are there to finance this particular transaction. SMEs supply to larger corporations. Then downstream part of the business contributes about 10 to 15% of our business, where these guys supply to wholesalers, distributors, and wholesalers, distributors supply to these retailers. These retailers then fundamentally then supply to consumers like us. So this part of the business is B2B2B. This part of the business is B2B to B2C. Okay. Everyone understood that? Yes. Is that clear? This is B to B to B, B to B to B to C. This is where the consumers lie. So now what we've done is that we've identified the target markets. Now, what are the target markets? Our target market is definitely not to finance this particular large SME or large corporation. Our target market is to finance this particular SME over here. So this transaction we want to finance. And we do not even want to finance this large distributor. Our target market is to finance these guys. So this is our basically target market. We want to finance the smaller guys. The smaller they are, the better it is for us. Just remember that, right? So we want to finance the smaller guys. Typically, the turnover will range from, let's say, 90 lakhs to 1 crore, going up to, let's say, 200, 300 crores, not above that. Our sweet spot remains between 1 and, let's say, 20 crores. That's the area we want to hit, because typically not many banks or NBFCs have penetrated that particular segment, and not much credit is out there available in the market because of 2 or 3 reasons. One, not enough data is there. For example, there is hardly any transactions which is done in the bank account. It's a lot of cash transactions. For example, if you go to a Panwadi, either you pay through Paytm or you would pay through. Just read the comments also if someone is saying something. So either you pay through Paytm or you pay through cash. 90% of the transactions take place through cash, and the cash is not really deposited in the bank account. That cash transaction remains a cash transaction, and basically it's not documented. So only 10% of the transaction is basically either done through a bank account or Paytm or digital transaction, right? So this remains an unbanked segment. So basically this guy has access to capital. Why does he have access to capital? Because ultimately the larger corporation or larger SME has tie-ups with banks, and they introduce something called channel financing. Okay. Tie-up, let's say an Axis Bank. For example, if you take Maruti, right? So Maruti has tie-up with Axis Bank, HDFC, all the bigger banks that you can see for channel financing to the distributors. So much so that they pressurize the banks to actually go and give credit to the distributors. Otherwise, they will take the business away from them. So they're pressurized. Even if in the bad case, they actually get pressurized. So they have a lot of control, but only up to the main distributor. This I will actually divide into further categories. There's a large distributor, then there are smaller distributor. So this guy may not have that much kind of access to capital as this guy would. This guy would be getting capital at about 12 to 13%, not more than that, because there is this larger corporation with some kind of moral obligation or some kind of guarantee which is there hanging in the air. It's probably not a guarantee on paper, but there's some kind of guarantee from this guy that, listen, you can fund this guy on my behalf. So this is called channel financing from the larger corporation. Similar concept, what we're trying to do is that we're trying to introduce in this part of the chain. So what we're trying to say is that why is it that the smaller distributors don't have that kind of access, or the retailers don't have that kind of access. Now, one reason is that the retailer, there's no access because the MNCs don't have direct visibilities to what the retailers are doing. That is one part of the problem. The second part of the problem is there's not enough financial data. That is not documented. There's not banked. There's hardly any GST filing done on that. So it is not really documented. So if you imagine a small Panwadi, you cannot imagine that that guy would have banking books, but the only data point we have out there is probably actually two data points that we would have out there. One would be CIBIL. If he's taken some loans, then CIBIL will be positive. If he's not taken any loans, then will be -1. That is one data point that we have. The second major data point that we have is the transaction history or the ledger between the distributor and the retailer. That is the major data point that we have, right? That basically represents the qualitative analysis that the distributor does, because the distributor does not look at the balance sheets, does not look at the bank statements before processing any kind of credit to his retailers. He just bases it based on relationship. And historically, we've seen that the distributors, it's not as if they're losing a lot of money. They made a lot of money as well, because there is margin to be made. A typical retailer would be making a margin of anywhere between 15 to 25%. A distributor will be making a margin of anywhere between 3 to 8%, right? So there is margin to be made. Definitely, if he is giving credit to the retailer, he's not an idiot that he's going to be giving credit basis some intuition of his. He's giving credit because he believes that the retailer will not run away because he has a shop, or it's a strong relationship. He also asks 5 people about how the guy is, then only gives credit. The only analysis that he does not have is the quantitative analysis, which is actual numbers. He has the qualitative data because he asks around. Now that begs a question, right? So that if the distributor is managing to do so much amount of business, he's making so much money, why can't we lend in that segment? Why can't we marry the quantitative analysis with the qualitative analysis to form a product whereby we are lending to the particular retail section? We are lending. Why can't we lend to these guys? Because if he's making money, so should we. As simple as that. If he is there in the market, surviving in the market, so we should be able to do the same. We should be able to replicate what the distributor has done. As simple as that. Now there are distributors here as well. We effectively started as becoming a distributor, but then we graduated to becoming a financing company. Then we finance this particular chain. If we can finance this particular chain, why can't we finance this particular chain as well? Right? That begs the question. So only because these guys don't have any banking history or something, but we can always base our decisions on the transactions that this guy's already done. So we took it further another step. We said that fine, we are going to basically finance the retailers and the distributors, the chain between the retailers and the distributors, but we are also going to ensure that we don't get bad clients by making the distributor share a part of the risk. So we want to ensure that the distributor basically remains true because he would have a skin in the game, and the only incentive the distributor would have is to increase his business. Right now, he's able to do, let's say, 4 crores per month of business. He's not even able to take it to 5 crores because there's limited capital. He does not have access to infinite capital. As simple as that. He would probably increase 20% year on year because the bank would say, fine, I've given you 2 crores of working capital, now take 2.4 crores. So 20% year on year, he would be able to grow his business. But he cannot grow his business more than 20%. What if he has to grow his business by 100%? He cannot, just cannot. It's impossible because he does not have access to money. He does not have access to capital. So what we said that, listen, we are going to introduce some kind of program out here whereby we fund the retailers. We are not funding this guy, but we get the distributor to share a part of the risk, to partake in the risk involved. If there is 100% of the risk on the retailers, we ask the distributor to share the risk. That risk typically ranges from 10 to 20%. We have got guys who have given us 25% risk sharing as well. We've got guys who have got 5% risk sharing as well. But the median lies around 15%. So there have been distributors who have basically told us, listen, you go and lend on my behalf. What I'm going to be doing is I am going to be sharing the first 15% loss that I see in the portfolio, and remaining loss will be borne by OFP. So we are getting the distributor to partake in the risk. So the distributor share a bit of a risk. Now, We know that there is about 3 to 8% margin over here. We know there's about 15 to 25% margin over here. So we know that these guys will be able to easily absorb a 18 to 20% or maybe a 18 to 22% interest rate easily per annum, easily. So the product where we offer interest rates of let's say 19-20% over here to these guys, and we get him to give to partake in about 15% of the risk is a wonderful product. Why? Because earlier he was taking 100% of the risk. He already knows the guy. He already is doing business with the guy. He's comfortable with the risk of the guy. The only thing that he does not have is working capital, and he is ready to take the working capital at even 19-20% because one, if the bank offers him working capital, it will be only for him, and they will offer him very limited working capital, and no one is going to offer working capital to the retailers. So the only option that he has is to do some kind of channel partnership arrangement with us or the likes of us, whereby he gives us some kind of initial guarantee, which is called FLDG, first loss default guarantee, and basically tells us to fund his retailers with very minimal underwriting, with bare minimum underwriting. So we are able to move the risk or move the loan from his balance sheet, from the distributor's balance sheet to the retailer's balance sheet. That is a brilliant thing because that does not increase the leverage of the distributor. At least on paper, it does not. So that allows him to raise more loans if needed from the banks at a later stage. It moves the risk down to retailers and many retailers. So effectively, if we were able to lend 50 lakhs to a particular distributor, what we are doing is that we're moving one level down, maybe lending 5 crores into the chain. Because we've identified 100 people, and if we give 5 lakhs to each person out here, instead of 50 lakhs to this distributor, we are able to lend now 5 crores of money into this particular chain. So we're just increasing the network effect, and we are branching out much more easily. Okay, so if there are any questions, just type it on the chat, and I'll be very happy to answer. Okay, so is this clear? Any questions from the group over here? Any questions? सबको clear है अभी तक? ठीक है? Okay, so okay. So now what we are doing is that we are working with a lot of these distributors in different segments or different areas. We've started working with a pharma distributor who basically buys his medicines from Cipla or Sun Pharma, etc. What's your question?
How do we decide how much exposure to take on each channel?
Okay, so there is no, so we are still in the process of learning. There is no upper limit or there's no lower limit. We will learn as we go along. So there is no fixed exposure that we want to take or can take. There's nothing fixed. So we are basically taking exposure. We will decide the exposure not basis the channel, but basis the individual customer that we offer the limit to, the retailer that we offer the limit to. We probably limit it to about, I don't know, depending on the channel, we limit it to about even a lakh or 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, depending on the channel. Depending on the turnover of the retailer, we limit the exposure to. We won't limit the exposure on the overall channel right now. We will see how it goes. Right now, we are in the experimentation phase where we can take risk, and that's what we are out to do. You make money only when you take risk. As simple as that. Yeah.
Have we identified the areas where we want to go basically? So
no, there are no areas identified. I'll come to that later. Okay. So this, I'll give you a few examples that we are doing, right? So we are working with 2 or 3 companies, right? So one is a pharma distributor who buys medicines from Cipla and Sun Pharma, etc., and gives it to retail pharmacies. Retail pharmacies are those nukkad shops where you go and buy medicines. Okay, so you basically go and buy whatever, your toothbrush or your Crosins or whatever other antibiotics, etc., from a local pharmacy. So this guy is a distributor who basically supplies just in time to those guys. Now, what generally happens is that these retail pharmacies are very small. These retail pharmacies would probably be doing a business about 2 lakhs per month or 3 lakhs per month, maybe maximum of 5 lakhs per month. That actually limits a turnover to anywhere between 20 lakhs to 1 crore. So if you're doing a business of 20 lakhs to 1 crore, becomes very difficult for banks to actually give limits there. But this distributor has already been doing business with that guy. He's already doing about 1 lakh. If he's doing a total business of 2 lakhs, the retailer, then this distributor is already doing a business of anywhere between 50,000 to 1 lakh. So 35% of the business he's basically able to capture. Now, if he's already doing that and he already has 1 year worth of data, we can easily get involved there and help him increase his business with the particular retailer. So thereby, if we capture 100 retailers and give them 50,000 rupees each, then you can actually disburse about 50 lakhs into the chain very easily, right? So 50,000 into 100, 50 lakhs into the chain very easily. However, if you were to fund this guy, you would probably give him about 25 lakhs or 20 lakhs or something, right? And you would have exposure to one guy. Here you have exposure to the entire chain. You're diversifying your risk massively. If one guy defaults out here, it's absolutely fine because you lend to 100 guys, 1 out of 100. That is kind of expected that's a risk that you'll be running, right? So obviously you do your basic due diligence checks whereby you check the CIBIL, you check a little bit of banking, and then you basically take a limited exposure out here. You keep increasing your exposure as and when you go deeper into the chain, and as and when you increase the number of transactions, you get comfortable in the particular sector, and then you can increase your exposure as we go along, right? So this is where we are at. We financed one pharma distributor. We financed a dental chair manufacturer who basically supplies dental chairs to these clinics, small clinics and doctors. And then we've also done a similar arrangement with a company called Copster, which basically supplies all these stationeries to large corporates, for example, not retailers, but large corporates. So that's a slightly different channel. And we've also done a similar thing with a company called Sri Amba, which is your Aerostar helmets ka manufacturer. Supplies to these retailers who supplies to guys with motorbikes. Okay, so we've done very similar arrangements. And typically the FLDG ranges from anywhere between 5% to let's say 15 or 20%. Okay, so this is what we are doing at the moment. Now, FLDG basically means first loss default guarantee. What that basically means is that we as OFB have exposure only when the first 15% of the disbursal, first 15% of the total disbursed amount defaults. For example, if I've lent 1 crore to the retail network, to let's say 100 guys, on an average 1 lakh per guy, I've lent 1 crore into the retail network. Let's say 10 lakhs, 10 clients default, that means 10 lakhs is gone, right? 10 lakhs is gone. So that means the distributor, because he's given us a 15% FLDG, he will bear the loss up to first 15 lakhs of the disbursed amount. Is that clear? First 15% of the disbursed amount, he will bear the loss. So अगर 10 लाख रुपए का default हुआ है, तो 10 लाख रुपए का वो पहला loss absorb करेगा, remaining उसका exposure सिर्फ 5 लाख रह जाएगा. क्योंकि हाँ.
This would be on the basis of the 10 clients का 10 लाख का 15% और
नहीं, it's on the portfolio level पे. मैंने 1 करोड़ उसके नेटवर्क में डिस्बर्स किया है. I have disbursed 1 crore in the network of the distributor, so he is liable for 15 lakhs overall, not per client, not 15% of per client disbursal. He is responsible for 15 lakhs.
10 lakhs
gets wiped off.
And 10 lakhs of the FLDG gets revoked, and 5 lakhs of the FLDG is left, and you still have 90 customers with 90 lakhs.
That's absolutely fine. That's the risk that we run. That's the risk that we run. That's the calculated risk that we intend to take at the beginning itself, right? So then we'll probably slow down the channel or basically try and get our money back from the channel if this happens. So the probability of that happening is very, very low because we already know at what NPS the guy is running because we already check a bit of financials from the guy, right? So the probability of that is a bit low, but that's a calculated risk that we are running. Okay. So now everyone understood what FLDG really is. FLDG is first loss default guarantee, where on the portfolio level, essentially we are the distributors covering the first 15% of the risk, and remaining 85% of the risk comes to us. Now here, FLDG does not mean risk-free, right? There is still risk. After first 15%, there is still risk. So you still have to underwrite. You can limit your underwriting to, let's say, if the level of FLDG is higher, you can limit your underwriting or the underwriting that you normally do to a lesser extent, right? But it does not mean that you're not going to do any underwriting. You're still going to check the CIBIL. You're still going to check bank statements in some cases. You're still going to check some financials in some cases. You're still going to check GST in some particular cases. The more the FLDG is, the more comfortable we'll get. So we will basically, if there is a on-edge case, we may still give a certain limit to that particular on-edge case because we know the amount of FLDG given to us is much higher. Okay. If the FLDG is lower, that means you have to be a bit more risk averse. That means you have to start limiting the limits that you give to the channel because the guy has not given you enough FLDG or enough risk coverage. Okay, enough guarantee or enough first loss default guarantee. So this is the reason. So we have basically laid down some rules that listen. And okay, so what sectors are you going to identify? I'll come to that in a little while. Potentially, in this case, every client is a network. Okay, I'll come to that a bit later. First, just understand the concept of FLDG. So FLDG basically means that there is still risk, but part of that risk is covered by the distributor. The first 15%, 5%, 10%, depending on the level of the FLDG, is covered by the distributor. I'm repeating this again and again because FLDG usually comes across as risk-free. It is not. Right? There is still risk in the network. So you have to keep that in mind while pitching, right? So that you still have to remember. Why is it good from the client perspective? Because earlier he was taking 100% of the risk. Now he's taking first 15% of the risk. And remaining 85% of the risk is with us. So that is what the downstream business is, and potentially every distributor in any segment is a potential client of ours. So today, I think it was your client, JD Enterprises. Is your client?
No.
Nitin Bhardwaj's client, JD Enterprises. He's a distributor of Nike and Puma shoes. So he basically supplies to retailers. Am I right? Mm-hmm. He basically supplies to retailers. Now, once that loan gets disbursed, we just released a limit today. About 15-20 lakhs.
15 lakhs.
We released a 15 lakh limit. What was the turnover of the client? 4 crores. Who was the underwriter? Hariom. Okay. So 4 crore client, he's doing 4 crore business, right? Per annum. 4 crore business ka matlab ho gaya, mota moti 30 lakhs per month. 30 lakhs per month, that basically means his working capital cycle would be about 60 to 90 days. How much is the working capital cycle of JD Enterprises?
JD, I think 65 days.
65 days is the working capital cycle. So that means 1/6 of his turnover is the amount of money that he would need to run his business, right? So
22 crores.
No, he said 4 crores.
22 crores.
JD 22 crores.
JD buys crores.
Okay, so actually that changes a bit of things. So 22 crores is the turnover of JD Enterprise. I'm taking that example so that I can make the point. 22 crores, so that means roughly per month he does a business of about 2 crores. Okay, so 2 crores business per month that he's doing with an average working capital cycle of 65 days. That means he needs 4 crores of money to run a 22 crores business. Now 4 crores he must have got from various banks and NBFCs. Now the limit that we sanctioned to that guy is 15 lakhs. If the limit that we sanctioned to the guy is 15 lakhs, that means on an annual basis he will only be able to do 90 lakhs more. Is that right? Do you understand the math? 15 lakhs into 6, because 2 months is the working capital cycle. He'll only be able to increase his business by 1 crore per annum. Now, 1 crore per annum is not a huge amount if you look at it. However, and how many clients would he have? Hariom?
A number of clients.
Give me a number. 300, 400, 500, 600?
Maybe around 300.
Oh, so if he has 300 clients, okay? So 300 clients, if there are 300 clients, what if we take about 150 of his clients and good clients, right? Out of 300 clients, 150 would be decent number of clients. Otherwise, he would not be in business. So more than 150 would be good clients. Only 10% would be dicey clients. So let's take 50% are okay clients and 50% are good clients, right? 150 clients. If we give, let's say, 5 lakhs limit to each of the clients, 5 lakhs limit. In fact, forget about 5 lakhs. 2 lakhs limit to each of the retailers, right? Let's go down even further. 1 lakh limit to each of the retailer. 1 lakh limit to each of the retailer. That means you have disbursed 1.5 crores into the network. 1.5 crores into the network would basically mean into 9 crores of business increase for the guy with just 1 lakh per 150 guy. So from 22 crores, instead of taking it to 23 crores only, you actually take the turnover of the guy from 22 crores to 31 crores straight. That's a 50% increase in turnover. That's massive. By just disbursing 1 lakh per client, per 50% of his clients. I'm being very conservative here, but I'm just making a point out here, right? So it just makes absolute sense. So JD Enterprises, as soon as he comes on board as a customer, you immediately look at his database whether it is fundable. It is fundamentally can we fund that using this particular model? And another example I'll give you, right? So today I went to another guy called Portronics. Who all have heard of Portronics? Raise of hand. Power bank जो बनाता है Portronics. Okay. Who all have heard of Portronics in the group? Digant, I'll answer your question in a short while. I have read the question. That is basically pitching. So let's not go down to pitching as yet. Let's just stay at a fundamental level. Any questions coming through or any?
That's the only one of it.
Okay. All right. So who all have heard of Portronics from the group? So Portronics is this guy who is 75 crores in turnover. He does all these earphones and power banks and so on and so forth. So pretty much all the consumer electronic goods related to mobile phones. So he does about 40% of the business with distributors. He does about 30% of the business with corporate gift entities where if Google employees को gifting करना होता है, so Google contacts this agent who contacts Portronics, and so that's 30% of the business. So that's total of 70% of the business. The remaining 20% of the business is online, Flipkart and Amazon, and remaining 5 to 10% is retail outlets that he's opened on his own, and airlines. So if you look at his 75 crores, right? So 75 crores, we have sanctioned about 50 lakhs as a business loan to him. So his working capital cycle is about, again, 60 to 90 days. Let's say 60 days. Again, we've sanctioned 50 lakhs to him. So with 50 lakhs, he'll be able to, into 6, he'll be able to do 3 crores more of business with our money. Everyone understand that math? So 3 crore business wo kar paega. That means he will be able to increase his turnover from 75 crores to 78 crores, maybe 80 crores if the working capital cycle is lesser for a few clients. So 80 crores, that means 5 crores over 75 crores. So if you do the math, that's actually, I don't know, 6% increase in turnover. 6% increase in turnover with our money. And we won't take more exposure also with him. Now, however, if we take he has about 100 distributors and 100 fairly decent distributors ranging from 1 crore turnover to about 40 crores turnover. Now, if we take those distributors and give an average of 10 lakhs each to the distributors, let's say we give 10 lakhs to 50 distributors, then we are basically disbursing 5 crores into the 5 crores, and we are basically suddenly increasing this turnover not from 5 crores to maybe 50 crores. That's about a 50% or a 60 or 70% increase in turnover. So you just see the kind of difference this particular model makes, because ultimately you are basically branching out into his network. You're using him to basically branch out into his network. It's just a very, very powerful tool. Now, why this hasn't been done before is because no one wanted to go to a retail store because he did not have banking. Because no one wanted to go and give money to a retailer. No one wanted to give money to a Panwadi. Why would you give money to a Panwadi, right? So basically, because this guy already has relationship with a Panwadi and he's already doing business with a Panwadi for about 5 or 6 years, and he's not seen any kind of defaults, and he makes money from the Panwadi also, I think it's a pretty safe channel in that particular sense. If he's seen an overall NPA of less than 1% or even 2%, it's a pretty safe channel. I mean, you can safely bet on that channel, right? And so that we are protected, so that he does not give all the lemons from all the customers or the bad customers. So we are basically asking him to share the risk as well. In that particular case, we are also protected, and we know that he won't cheat us. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now this is what we're doing. So every potential distributor that we have, right, we are going ahead and pitching the products. Now, one fundamental thing that you guys should note is that our existing business is our bread and butter, right? So I do not want you guys going after this particular thing unless until you discuss with me or Vasant, because our existing business should not suffer. What I've seen this month is because this product was launched, many people are spending time in this particular product. So therefore, our number of customers has taken a hit from 96 at the peak to now we are sitting at about 40, 45 customers. And that's not good with only about 6 days to go in the month. I definitely don't want that. Now we are scrambling to hit 10 customers per day. So I definitely do not want that. That existing business should take a hit. This is only for your understanding. Why? Because I will be approaching you, or Vasant will be approaching all of you, or some senior will be approaching all of you to basically introduce us to the client so that we can open up this particular channel. It is not so that you can open up this channel right now. We will have a separate team, but what I want from you guys is that just be aware that this particular product exists on the out there in the market. The client will be benefited a lot, because instead of giving them a limit which increases its turnover by six times the limit, now we are suddenly increasing its turnover by 60 times the limit. Why? Because we are basically branching out into the network. We are increasing the limit offered. And the other advantage that it has is that the loan that we give to a customer is on his balance sheet. Now suddenly the loan or the credit we are offering to the customer is not on his balance sheet. It is on the balance sheet of his customers or his retailers. That's a beautiful part. You're increasing the exposure. You're disbursing more money. It's safer money because you're disbursing to many people. It's basically not on his balance sheet as well. Is that clear? Any questions that we have from the group?
I have a question.
We'll talk about the pitch later. Please don't talk to me right now about the pitch. Just understand it from the fundamental level. Let's assume that this always works, right? So just understand from a fundamental level. We'll talk about the pitch to both the customer, the distributor, as well as to the retailers. Yeah.
Can Anchor say like you can't fund this client, but he can say like you cannot, or no? Anchor has no say.
No, Anchor has definite say. We are working as a partner with the Anchor to fund his clients. Obviously, we will also have a say in yes or no. That we can also pick and choose the clients, but he can also pick and choose the clients as well.
So there is a 2 degree of approval. One is ours and one is his.
It's not approval. It's just an understanding.
Understanding.
Yeah. There's no approval as such.
So, sir, FLDG can increase over a period of time from the Anchor, or at one go he has to basically.
No, so FLDG basically is calculated on the disbursed amount. If he wants, let's say he initially gives a certain amount, we'll calculate the limit. The limit will go up as soon as he starts giving us more and more FLDG. So let's say you get 2 sanctions worth 10 lakhs each. Like, for example, we got 2 sanctions in Gujarat. I'll give you a live example. 2 sanctions in Gujarat, one of 5 lakhs, one of 7 lakhs. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ganesh and Surya Plastics. The total limit is 12 lakhs. We got a 15% FLDG. 15, actually no, it's not even 5 lakhs and 7 lakhs. It's about 3 lakhs and 5 lakhs, something like that. So the sum of the, so 15% of that number comes out to be roughly about 1 lakh. He's given us a 1 lakh deposit. 1 lakh FD, so that we can disburse that particular amount. So the amount of disbursal there in the market is what he has to pay us, or the percentage of that he has to pay us, or give it to us as FD.
We can pitch a client. We can pitch this to the client that.
So you are not supposed to pitch the client. Just be aware that this happens, and then come and tell me. We will discuss. You are not supposed to pitch it to the client. Why? Because I do not want the existing business to suffer at all. Definitely not. You are supposed to come and discuss with me or Vasant, and then we will make a decision of what to pitch, how to pitch, what should be the pitch, and ultimately we will go and pitch. So I definitely want to be involved initially, because existing, again, I'm telling you, I will not let any program through unless and until the existing business is flourishing. As simple as that. I am there to manage this particular program. You guys should be aware that this particular program exists for your clients, so that you can come and say that Nitin, Vasant, please go and just see if this can be applicable to this particular client that we have converted. The best part is that that client need not be even converted. He can also be rejected due to some reason. We can then again, like Sri Amba, for example, the Aerostar helmet guy was rejected by a system, but we are still going to him for his retailers. Why? Because it was not rejected because of the bad quality of his debtors. It was rejected because of him doing over expansion, of him buying a go down, of him investing a lot of money and coming into the working capital trap. Please understand, even a rejected case has a lot of potential in us going and really rampaging through his network. Please understand that. So that is why any client which is rejected or accepted needs to be checked with me or Vasant, and then we will decide whether to go after it or not. Okay. And then we can decide, and we will see the reasons why it was rejected, and then basis that we will make a calculated guess or a calculated judgment call, and then we will then proceed. Is that clear to everyone? Everyone in the group? Anyone has any questions? Please feel free to ask. I have a question. What do you mean? Sanket, you have a question?
Yeah, I think he said I have reached my, I think I have.
You have reached what? Okay, anyways. This particular part is clear to you. Now the kind of documentation that we ask, right? I'll come to that. Now, if the loans are sub 1 lakh, for example, the pharmacies, etc., all we need is a CIBIL consent, right? And the ledger from the distributor and the retailer. That's all we need. If the loans are between, let's say, 1 lakh and 15 lakhs, all we need is banking. Not even ITR. We just need 6 months, or ideally 12 months banking. If 6 months banking is there, we can do with it. Yeah, is that right? That's all we need. We are not trying to complicate it. We're trying to simplify the hell out of it because we want this to run. Already got a lot of sanctions. Now it's just about disbursals, and disbursals are easy in this particular case. It's not difficult because the client also needs it. The distributor also needs it. We'll come to pitching a bit later about how to pitch to the distributor, how to pitch to the retailer, but that's not important at the moment because that's for me and Vasant to go and decide and pitch. That'll come later. We'll talk to you individually how to go and pitch because every channel may have a different pitch. I learned while pitching to the clients today, I went and pitched this same program to 3 clients. I learned on the go, I amended my pitch. This is the sector. This is what he was talking. And then I perfected my pitch over there. Right? And it worked with all 3 of them. So there is a certain way you're supposed to pitch, but I still would not want you guys to pitch to the to this network. It has to be either me or Vasant. It cannot have any other bandwidth going into it. Just cannot. I'm being very, very clear about it. Like Subhadeep, for example, took me to a client called Innovative Resins. What he does is manufactures, he basically supplies polyester to these SMEs. So there I went and pitched and it worked, but it has to be done by me. He took me because I don't want him to go and pitch because the existing business will suffer. I still need you guys to go after the 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 30 lakh, 50 lakh, 70 lakh, because once that is converted, the FLDG pitch becomes much easier. That's why I want you guys to do the legwork and for me to go and pitch the FLDG into the network, or for Vasant to go and pitch the FLDG into the network. We will build a team around this, and then we will make sure that this takes off. But this right now it's in a quote unquote pilot stage. It's doing pretty well, but existing business cannot suffer. Okay, existing business cannot suffer. I cannot be more clear about this, right? So ideally, you guys should not worry about the pitch because pitch is for me to perfect and Vasant to perfect, and we can always talk to you about it specific to a particular example that you may have in mind. Now I'll come to the other part, right? So one is downstream. So downstream, we all thought, right? So when I was doing this, so we thought that, listen, if it can be done in downstream, why can't it be done in upstream? Upstream का मतलब है कि this raw material manufacturer or raw material trader still has a lot of SMEs. So why can't it be replicated in the upstream part? Why can't we go and pitch to this particular raw material manufacturer that why don't you give me an FD and I will go and finance your SMEs in a similar fashion with minimal underwriting? If you basically are ready to partake the risk. So if you give me a 15% risk sharing or a 10% risk sharing, I can go and fund your SMEs as well. This is exactly what we are doing in a couple of cases. Now those cases are basically Devashish Polysynth, who's basically a distributor of polymer, Reliance Polymer, and he basically has given us clients, and 2 have already got sanctioned. There is Srinath G Marketing, who is a TMT trader. 2 cases have already got sanctioned there. Then there is Rhine Aluminium. We are in the process of basically getting sanctions over there as well. Then there are other cases as well. There are many other cases. SLSC is a paper manufacturer. It's called Sri Lakshmi Sales Corporation. 3 cases have got sanctions, 0 rejections. 3 cases he gave, all 3 sanctioned. And there are 4 more cases in the pipeline. Right? We're just waiting for a few documents. There we asked for the 6-month banking. We're just waiting for the 6-month banking. Fantastic, right? So we basically said that if it can be done here, why can't it be done here? And it's a very fast way of growth. And it's basically really leveraging the power of network effect that we have, right? Really leveraging that power. Because ultimately, earlier, the definition of network effect for us was If we have one client, we go and ask him to give references of 2 or 3 clients. Here, what we are saying is that in your network, I'm going to finance everyone. That's what I'm saying. It's very powerful, right? If you think about it, earlier a client, we used to say, fine, if you go to a client, if you go to an SME, get him to give you 5 distributors, 5 creditors, 5 debtors, and 5 competition references. That's 15 guys, right? We never used to say that open up your entire network to me. Now we're basically saying, so that means maximum 15 references that you get, and out of that 2 or 3 you should get converted, or 1 or 2 you should get converted. That's 1 out of 15 conversion rate. Now we are basically saying that listen, open up your entire network to me. I want to finance each and every guy in the network, subject to conditions. Very powerful, right? You get 100 people. Instead of 15 people, you get 100 people right there. It's just amazing network effect. Amazing network effect. If you think about it. One guy branching out into 100 guys. That's it, with one pitch. And the beauty of this is going to be purely tech driven. We are not going to have any manual things. We are not going to have any manual checks. There have been rules and guidelines laid by the underwriting team where the approval comes not in hours, not in minutes, in milliseconds. You submit your document, approval is there. Submit your document, submit the Aadhaar card or PAN card, automatically pull CIBIL, automatically calculate the inward outward returns for the bank statements, automatically calculate the average account balance, formula, there's the limit, approved. That's how fast it's going to be. It's not going to be hours, it's not going to be days. You won't have to spend time on collecting the documents and collecting all post-PD documents, nothing. Yes, no, this is the limit, milliseconds, right? This is what it's going to be. So this is what we are trying to design, and we are trying to leverage the power of network effect through technology. That's what we are. We are a fintech company. Please understand that. So in my mind, it's very, very clear, right? So every conversion that you guys make will be leveraged by the network will be leveraged using technology. One conversion that you make, Gurtej, can lead to 100 customers using technology. That's what we want to do. That's what we are set out to do. But for that, we still need to convert the 50 lakh guy using feet on street. However, we're going to add that technology layer, which no one has done before. We are the only ones who are trying to do this, and this is going to be the next big thing. I'm very, very sure about this because I have done about close to 40 pitches. Out of that, about 20 clients are convinced. We are taking it slow. 20 clients, they're not saying no, but it's just another meeting. I'm taking it slow because I don't have the bandwidth right now. I need to disburse about 5 or 6 channels before I can take it all over, before I can build a team around it. As simple as that. So I'm very convinced that you guys, we need a sales force to go and get those nodes, and then in order to reach out to the network, we'll just use technology. Just use tech.
Is there competition with respect to this product?
No, there is no competition. There's only competition with respect to channel financing, with respect to large corporations. That's it. There's no competition. We're the only ones innovating around this. There are maybe guys who are going after the mid corporates, but we are going after the small corporates. The small guys, small enterprises, right? Any questions on the group?
What if distributor wants to take back some FD?
No, he cannot take back the FD unless and until my disbursal rate is at that level. If my disbursal rate is less, he can take back the FD. That's not a problem.
I have actually follow up. So disbursal rate, you are saying initial
disbursal amount? No, my disbursal amount is a balance sheet item where I disburse a certain amount of money out there. For that, we've agreed on a 15% FD. That 15% FD will remain with me. If the disbursal number decreases due to some reason where clients pay me back, then I can reduce this FD. Otherwise, I cannot. I won't. It's in my hands. Simple.
So we'll be taking the FD, means we'll be taking the money. And
no, that modality you don't have to worry about right now. It'll be in the form either of the FD lien. FD lien usually takes a lot of time with banks doing a lot of choo-choo. So we can accept the FD deposits at OFP and pay them about 6 to 7% interest rate on that.
Can we use that money?
No, that's not for you to worry about. Please don't ask random theoretical questions.
Sir, supplier तो वो नहीं होगा कि लिमिट दे रहे हैं हम कस्टमर को, राइट? सो हम कहीं और से लेट्स से पेपर की बात कर रहे हैं, पेपर कहीं और से हमने उसको सप्लाई कर दिया बिकॉज़ वो तो हमारे साथ में लिमिट है. सो
नहीं, वो उसी से ही माल सप्लाई होगा. We exclusivity, no, it's not about exclusivity also, because there is risk sharing arrangement. because we have done minimum underwriting, it'll basically be stupid of us to go and supply from somewhere else, because we will not be able to use the FLDG otherwise.
But here in this model, we are not supplying.
We're not supplying at all.
We are only funding.
We are only doing pure financing using technology. Simple. Khatam. Is that clear?
So तो वो FD कैसे मतलब वो एक fixed amount देगा या फिर कैसे?
नहीं मैंने so there are 2 or 3 ways. Right now, with some clients, we also say that, sir, आपकी 50 lakh की limit है, there's 50 lakh limit, 1% processing fee, 50,000 you have to pay. He says, no, I only want to use 20 lakh. Sometimes we are flexible enough that, okay, fine, if you want to use 20 lakhs, just pay 20,000 rupees as PF and use the 20 lakhs. When you're using the remaining 30 lakhs, then pay the PF on that. Sometimes we are flexible around it. Similarly here, the amount that I'm disbursing, I given that option to only deposit that kind of FD. I'll give that option.
So one who is
Obviously, it is better to take the entire amount of deposit, but it depends on the negotiations. As simple as that.
So disbursement amount हम लोग FLDG ले रहे हैं कि
Disbursement amount, no, disbursement amount.
So the client who is giving us an FLDG, okay, हम उसको भी as a client तो convert पहले कर ही सकते हैं.
Absolutely, that's how it's supposed to be. You go and convert him as a client. That's what your job is, to convert him as a client. My job is to then go later to build the FLDG network. Here, if the client is maybe not getting converted by you, use me to go and fetch the FLDG network. Maybe he's not interested in the purchase financing product. Use me to go and fetch the FLDG network. Maybe he accepts our limit. We give him a limit, he accepts the limit. Use me to pitch the FLDG product, or use Vasan. If it gets rejected, use me or Vasan to go and pitch the FLDG network. Simple. To me, this is the next wave of innovation. As simple as that. And I'm very, very convinced that this is going to work, because I have had close to 0 rejections or close to 0 clients telling me to fuck off. Not a single client. But there's a way to pitch, and there is a way to make sure that the client understands the nuances of this, so that is why I would not encourage any of you to go pitch right now. Not. I just want you to be aware that this exists out there in the market, can be used to leverage the network, and Nitin and Vasant are there to go and get this converted. I just have to go and tell Nitin or Vasant. Simple. And they will instruct what to do after that. Like today, Subhadeep took me to innovation reasons. Today morning, Arvind and Avinash took me to this guy called Portronics. And in the afternoon, there was a board meeting with ACC Cements. I pitched a similar product. They were interested. Maybe not with ACC, maybe with ACC's distributors. So ACC is here, distributors are here. Actually, ACC is here. Then I pitched it to their distributors who are somewhere here. Right? And they were very interested. Just have to follow up with them. That's all. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? I am not going to be probably talking about the pitch to the retailers. Leave that to me and Vasant for now. We're still perfecting it. I've almost perfected it, but I'm not going to be talking about that. Any questions from the group outside? Any questions from the group inside? Is that clear? Pucho questions, pucho yaar. Otherwise, it'll be a very, very short session. Koi fayda nahi hoga. Ask me as many questions. Ask me the kind of clients that you need to identify. Ask me the kind of parameters of the clients that you would need to identify to come to me. The answer is everyone. As long as that particular node is not supplying to large corporations like Indian Railways, like Maruti directly. If he is supplying to a network of SMEs, he's a client. If he's supplying to a network of retailers, he's a potential FLDG client. If he's supplying to that's it. If he's supplying to a network of SMEs, or he's supplying to a network of distributors or retailers, he's a client. As simple as that. FLDG client.
Ideal turnover threshold.
There's no turnover threshold. No turnover threshold.
Supposing the downstream network for the distributor to the
retailers
is a cash-driven market. There.
Doesn't matter. We can still do it. Right now, pharmacies is a cash-driven market. Completely cash-driven. The collection is done by cash. We can still do it. Leave the modalities to me. Leave the risk to me and Ashish to identify. You just worry about that as being a potential customer and telling me that this is a potential customer. Please go and pitch. That's all.
It's a retail finance.
Don't even worry about that. It's a potential customer.
Sir, what if the distributor and the retailer, they work on very minimal margins? So
You leave that to me. You come and tell me that this is the margin, I will figure out. This is a potential customer, he works on this, just shoot me an email. Phone call, email is enough. It'll just take me 2 minutes. It just take you 2 minutes to shoot me an email or a WhatsApp or a phone call. It's enough. So we have a question. Sorry. Instead of giving us FD, can the distributor use unsecured credit line if it's given to him? No. The answer is no, because the unsecured credit line that we give to him, we pay to a supplier, not to him. If we are paying to him, he can do whatever he wants with the money. But that'll be at 18%, right? Or 90% or 20%. Harshit, is that clear? No, the upper cap on the end node is not 10 lakhs, Harshil. It is for minimal underwriting, it is 15 lakhs. In case we want to go above 15 lakhs, we'll have to ask for a little bit more documentation, but there is no upper limit on the amount. So Harshil's question was that twofold. One is that instead of giving us an FD, can the distributor use our unsecured credit line if given to him? The answer to that is no if it's purchase finance, because in purchase finance, we never give him the money. We always give a supplier the money. So he will not be able to do that just by the construct of the product. If you're giving a business loan to him, he can do whatever the fuck he wants because you're giving him the money. That is one. The second question is that for these retailers or the end nodes, the upper cap is 10 lakhs. The answer is no, the upper cap is not 10 lakhs. For minimal underwriting, the upper cap is 15 lakhs. And if we want to go above 15 lakhs, we can, but we would need to ask for a few more documents. Okay. Any other question? Harshil, is that clear? Just write yes or no. Harshil?
There's a 10 second gap.
Question?
Do we
Noted, thanks. Okay.
do we take any other kind of, like, you know, other than FD?
No, we don't. Leave that to me. Again, you're asking random questions.
Okay.
That's not for you to figure out. That's for me to go and figure out. Do not ask those questions, please.
So potential client who manufactures kitchen sinks.
Yeah.
He may be supplying to all the retailers who usually then
A potential client, sir.
Can we
Please,
go-
absolutely. You don't go, I will go. You just introduce me to the client. You can accompany me if you want, but leave that to me. Explain it to me tomorrow. Potential client, yes. Any questions from the group? Just write there. Any questions, please ask. Quick questions? So I encourage you at the end of the day, when you're free, not during business hours, maybe Saturday, Sunday, just go through all your previous clients list, those who have been rejected or have accepted a limit, or those who have been sanctioned, not accepted. Please identify those potential clients where I or Vasant can go and pitch this FLDG product, right? Please identify. That's what you need to do. Come and discuss with me, give me a call, and I will then figure out, or Vasant will figure out what to do. Simple. Yeah? Go through all your client list, please. Okay? Samajh gaya? Good. Any questions? Thoughts, comments? How do you identify clients? Ask me questions about, can this be a potential client? Can this be a potential client? Ask me those kind of questions. Absolutely no problem.
किस रिजेक्ट हुआ उजाला एक्वाटेक
उजाला एक्वाटेक क्या करता है वो?
पंप बनाता है
पंप किसको देता है?
वो आप डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को सप्लाई करता है
Yes, can be a potential client. Unless and until वो retailers, distributors rural areas में हो जहाँ पे हम serve नहीं कर सकते. अगर वो है तो हम नहीं कर पाएंगे. अगर वो नहीं है, अगर वो normal areas में हमारे operational areas में हम तो कर सकते हैं.
So wholesalers in textiles.
Yes, absolutely, we can do it. We were also planning to fund a company called Wholesale Box, which was doing a similar thing. Dropped off because they were cash strapped. So that's why they were about to go under. So that's why we didn't fund. A company which is about to go under, we will not do. We will not fund the network. Ask me questions more. More questions about can this be a potential client? Can this be a potential client? On the group, please.
Completely can go under only.
So basically ये वाला part भी आपको समझ आ गया ना? Upstream is clear? Yeah? Upstream वाला part भी clear है ना? जो distributor होता है पेपर का, पॉलीमर का, स्टील का, उसके भी क्लाइंट्स को हम कर सकते हैं इसी मॉडल में. स्टील में मेरे को थोड़ी डिफिकल्टी हुई है अभी. Why डिफिकल्टी होती है मैं बताता हूँ. Because this year as competitors. In this team, we are not competitors because we don't aggregate FMCG products. In this team, they may see us as competitors. That is why steel is an area where I've had difficulty pitching this product. They don't trust us. That's the only area. Steel में, especially not even TMT. Actually, TMT तो हमने किया ही नहीं है. एक श्रीनाथ जी के अलावा. The only place where we had a problem is where steel plates, angle channel beams, etc. We had a problem. Questions, thoughts, comments? Come on, guys. Hyderabad, I haven't fucking heard a thing. Are you guys sleeping? Fucking doped out. Chennai. Tamil Nadu.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
So there's a client which is into cash remittances and have a retail network of 5,000 small retailers.
No, come again. Cash remittances, matlab you have to explain the business.
People come to their shops and give money cash, and they transfer the money to maybe outskirts.
For Western Union.
Yeah, sort of, but for India only.
Okay. Then
they have a 5,000 retail network in Delhi itself.
Okay.
So can we do something?
So that in general, I have to discuss with the underwriters whether this sector is okay for us to do or not, because it's just I cannot comment on it right now. Let's discuss this offline. Okay. I cannot comment on it.
Sort of.
Let's discuss this offline. Maybe it is, maybe it is not. We have to see the margin that change. We have to see whether it's loss making or profit making.
So can we on certain industry where we say that it's a negative industry, like wood industry, जैसे.
So timber, again, the retailers, if we can get a hold of the bank statements, etc., of the retailers, check the CIBIL, maybe we can. Because retailers fundamentally supply to consumers like us. They do not supply to real estate guys. So maybe we can.
एक example है जैसे for example this phenol. The phenol के जो wholesale dealers हैं, like Nepra Trading, they sell it to all this plywood in.
So it's not as such. The only reason why it's negative because plywood generally goes into real estate. If a lot of the end clients is selling to real estate, then it's a no. If it's retail, then it's a okay. No, not necessary. We'll discuss this offline. It's a good case. Just write it down. Come and discuss with me offline. We will discuss with Nipun and to see whether we can actually do something there. My first instinct would be if you're giving to plywood guys, plywood if it's giving to retail, then those clients are off limits. We cannot do it. Real estate is completely a negative sector. If they're supplying it to retailers who are supplying to consumers, then it's okay, in my opinion.
Because since we are already working in this industry, or हम जैसे इनके suppliers के साथ हमारी एक अच्छा base है, तो
yeah, we can always test this. I'm just saying that get the document.
एक sister concern है who makes finance and sell it to Big Bazaar and all.
So Big Bazaar becomes a large corporation. There we can talk.
Distributor को भी देता है आगे.
We can absolutely look at it. We can absolutely look at it. Come and discuss with me. Write it down somewhere. Write down all this thing. Ankush, just write down all this thing. जो नाम आ रहे हैं, I would want to discuss. एक उजाला एक्वाटेक है. उजाला एक उजाला एक्वाटेक है, एक नीपरा है, एक एग्रो एलाइड का सिस्टर कंसर्न है. Any other names that come to mind?
एक सर निर्मा इंडस्ट्रीज है.
Okay, so Kalpesh, we were discussing about plywood. So the answer to that is if plywood guys are supplying to retail or supplying to consumers, no problems. If they're supplying to real estate, then it's a problem. So granite and stone distributors are potential customers. Again, my answer to that, if real estate, problem. If retailers to individuals, no problem. So question again was similar, that if it's a distributor of plywood supplying to retail, is it a problem? Same answer. Real estate problem, retailers to consumers, no problem. Clear?
Sir, I have one more query. How do we decide what amount we're going to invest for a particular channel?
No, you don't. Random question. Again, you don't need to decide that. I will decide that. Just you identify a channel, give it to me. I will decide that. Or the underwriters will decide that. You just need to identify the channel. Because if he's already investing 4 crores, even if you invest 2 crores, we are increasing his turnover by 50%. If he already has 4 crores stuck in the market, not stuck, but invested in the market as debt or credit, if we give him 2 crores more into the market, we're increasing his turnover by 50%. That's all you need to care about. That's what we can do. We can go up to 25, 30, 40%.
No, I'm not looking, asking on that program. I was asking basically that
how much amount to give, that you don't have to worry about right now. You just have to identify the channels. We will worry about that. Okay, questions?
डीलर नेटवर्क को भी कर सकता है एटलीस्ट
ग्रेविटास क्या करता है? एक मिनट, ग्रेविटास क्या करता है सर, मुझे बताओ।
एक तो बॉयलर्स वगैरह बनाता है,
बॉयलर्स,
और एक वो एटलीस्ट और कॉर्पो का डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर है।
एटलीस्ट इज साइकिल,
एटलीस्ट कॉर्पो
वो क्या है?
सिलेंडर का पार्ट्स वगैरह होते हैं।
सो इट सप्लाइज टू व्हाट?
250 डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर, 250 डीलर है उसके।
End user is the industry.
What does he do? मतलब देखो अभी तक समझ नहीं आया, सिलेंडर का क्या है?
End user is SMEs which use it in their some or the other process. So he supplies a small part of it.
Distributors or SMEs?
He supplies to a lot of distributors who in turn supplies to a lot of different industry.
SMEs.
It's like a bearing.
Yes,
you can
we can
say.
do. We can look at it.
It's like a bearing. You can
Ankush, write down Gravitas is where, please. Yeah, we can look at it. No, FLDG amount is not. So Chakresh's question is FLDG amount fixed? The answer is that depends on the negotiation with the customer, how much FLDG we can pull out. The more, the better for us. The percentage has to be decided. And FLDG amount on an absolute value depends on the disbursal. If the FLDG percentage is 15%, disbursal is 1 crore that I've already done, then I would want a 15% FD. 15 लाख का FD.
के नेटवर्क में हमने 1 करोड़ दे दिया, 1 लाख करके 100 रिटेलर्स हैं उनको दे दिया, तो कितने टाइम में कितना डिस्पर्सल होना चाहिए वो कैसे डिसाइड होगा?
अगेन वो नेगोशिएशन में डिपेंड करेगा, वो अंडरस्टैंड बिजनेस मॉडल की अंडरस्टैंडिंग पे डिपेंड करेगा. As long as just identify the customer base, leave everything to me. And listen, that's it. Just identify the customer base.
If somebody is a kind of business who imports any item from
and sells it to a distributor network, yes, it'll be applicable.
SL Foods, एक और रिजेक्ट हुआ था SL Foods.
हाँ लिख ले. सुमन कहाँ था भाई? Why were you not here?
भगवान से वहाँ से रास्ते में भगवान से.
कोई और questions? हरिओम सर अंडरराइटिंग से कोई क्वेश्चन? आनंदा सर अंडरराइटिंग से कोई क्वेश्चन? नहीं, डरो मत, इतना रिस्की नहीं है. आपके चेहरे पे मतलब मेरे को बहुत बोला है, भयंकर फटा हुआ है.
मैंने इनको इंटेंशनली बिठाया है कि लेट देम हैव अ फील कि व्हाट इज
कि फट में कह रहा है मेरी तरफ देख रहा है ऐसे, वो ना सुपरमैन की लेजर आईज की मैं बस कर दूंगा तेरे साले, और ज्यादा बोला तो ज्यादा उछल मत.
जब आपने बोला तभी ये फट गए.
So what happened in the induction was that when I mentioned this millisecond approvals and all, no, So two potential underwriters that we hired, no, not two potential, two underwriters that we hired, one Chetan and one other guy, Sachin. Both of them said, "Sir, हमारी job का क्या होगा?" Dude, bots are taking over. You like it or not? Robots are going to be taking over. Next time a robot is going to be sitting here, not me. Deal with it. We have to improve efficiency in the system. We'll all be there just to identify channels and value addition. Like I said, the sales people will be there to identify nodes which can be branched out, go and convert the node, and then remaining will be taken over by technology. As simple as that. Simple. Questions, thoughts, comments? Okay. So guys on the call or on the YouTube, those guys who are watching YouTube, give you another minute or so just to jot down your thoughts and put questions. But I don't see Chennai there. I don't see Hyderabad there. Are you guys sleeping or what is going on? So Pune seems to be there. Gujarat seems to be there. But anyways, this video can be shared, and then hopefully the other guys will see it. All right. Any questions? Any other questions? सबको clear है? ये वाला part clear है कि हमारा business कैसे structured है? ये वाला part clear हो गया? ठीक है? किसी को कोई doubt है इसके अंदर कि ऐसा नहीं होता है, ऐसा होता है? ठीक है? So this is the FLDG part. And so tomorrow I am taking a session on Excel. Again, if you guys are interested, you have to come with computers. Without computers, there's no point. Don't even come. You have to come with computers. I will be taking a session on Excel on Google Docs so that we don't worry about Mac and Windows, because Mac and Windows have different commands each. Let's just go on Google Docs, which is agnostic to the operating system that we run. Okay, I'll take it on Google Docs. I'll teach you programming. That's a later stage, but someone wanted me to teach them VLOOKUP and pivots. Ankush. So I'll teach that.
There are no pivots.
Huh?
Are there pivots on Google Sheets?
There are pivots everywhere. He just doesn't know how to use them. Cool. Excellent. Chalo, let's wind up. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.